Yo, what is up, everybody? This is your boy Nonsense Nap here today to bring you a Chicago Bears game preview versus the Seattle Seahawks for Monday Night Football. Hey, y'all might see some of these memes out there. I'm going to try to put one up every once in a while, but this one here is believe in something even if it means sacrifice these nuts. Got him. Yeah, so that brightened up my day today, but hopefully it brightened up y'all's. But yeah, man, let's get into this game preview. But actually, I apologize. Before I do that, I do want to touch base on some things as far as with the Packers. I went back and watched a little bit more of the highlights again, saw the first quarter again, and the third quarter. And you know what? The defense wasn't all that bad in the second half. Just offensively, we just got to get the ball on the field a little bit more. But some things I do want to focus on in this upcoming game. 4 points, focusing on Trubisky and how his growth is needed. Essentially, I'm hoping to see that in this particular game against the Seahawks. The offense essentially involving Tariq Cohen and Jordan Howard a lot more in running the ball. Essentially those guys averaging about 5 yards a carry. You gotta involve them a little bit more in your offensive scheme of things. Defense being point 3, how they're going to be able to stipend Russell Westbrook, because that gentleman can beat you via air and on the ground. He's averaged 50 yards rushing against the Bears the time he's played us, so that can be detrimental to us essentially in the long run of the game. So defense got to play all 4 quarters hard. Got to get to Russell Westbrook quick. And the fourth point would be special teams, surprisingly, because Seahawks have a real good kicker. And depending on what Tariq Cohen can do with that in the special teams, might be special. So again, essentially focusing on point 1 with Trubisky, that growth. He's got to be able to assert himself early on in the offense, having enough vision to scan the field, see what he's getting early, get the ball out of his hands and to the right guys at the right point in time. Did a good job against that on the throw to Allen Robinson quick before he broke out of his route. The ball was there and he caught the ball. Great job. Bad job is when Trey Burton was already there waiting and he underthrew the ball, which didn't allow him to get in for a touchdown. So in moments like that, he just had to have a little bit more consistency in his game. Another thing with Trubisky is something he said after the game. He asked Nagy how could he get better instantly for getting on the bus, and that's huge. And watching some of the press conferences, I want to note that Trubisky is pretty much trying to get a little bit more feel as far as like being in the pocket. So having that pocket awareness and presence, knowing where the pressure is coming from, how to maneuver just a little bit, moving out the way, not constantly just scrambling out the pocket, and that is breaking down the play. So letting your guys essentially, run their routes, complete their routes, break out whatever you need to do as far as in the receiver, whatever the route is being ran. And, you just having the awareness to constantly keep your eyes downfield, see what the defense is giving you, and getting the ball out of your hand to your guys. So I'm hoping that he's going to be able to do that a little bit more. It's going to be kind of hard with the Seahawks, but hopefully that offensive line will be able to step up and protect Trubisky in the long run. So hopefully, we can see that growth with Trubisky here. He can get a couple pass completions for touchdowns. If not, just asserting himself as far as like getting the ball out of his hand and just seeing that growth, so going forward. Again, with the running backs, they have to incorporate a little bit more of the run game, especially against the Seahawks. Can't be pass heavy. We don't need Trubisky throwing the ball 35 times against them with Earl Thomas back there. With what's the linebacker's name for the Seahawks? Pretty much, they got a core of guys out there that can cover well, along with they can hit you hard. So they're gonna have to really establish themselves on the run. Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen both are guys that are very dominant in the run game. So they're strong backs, they're quick. Tariq obviously a little bit faster and then more elusive, but you gotta have a 1-2 punch with them guys, and I'm hoping that Nagy can incorporate some plays in his offense to essentially focus a little bit more on them being more heavily involved in the run game against the Seahawks. I'm going to constantly keep reiterating that because that needs to be done, because that's going to help pull the linebackers up, force them to blitz a little bit more. It could possibly run a play action, get the ball out of your hand to one of the tight ends or even a receiver. So, and Trubisky's smart enough and fast enough, I feel like, able to do that. But if you can fool them a couple times and they miss their read, Jordan and Tariq can hurt them. So they have to be more heavily involved in the offense going forward. The defense, again, I'm hoping to see more from Roquan Smith and Khalil Mack. Obviously, them being on a pitch count with the Packers game last week, and that's pretty much, getting so many reps. So how it would be for baseball, getting so many reps as far as like in a game, and then pulling them out, putting somebody else in. In this particular case, I'm hoping they have a little bit more involvement in the game, and not just a couple series, here and there, but hopefully Khalil Mack can assert his presence like he did in the first half against the Packers throughout this game, along with the fact that Roquan and Leonard Floyd essentially asserting themselves on the edge too. We don't just need it just from the right side, we need it from both sides, right and left, strong and weak side. So if we can assert ourselves in that regards, as far as on blitzes and coverages, I think we'll be fine. We have to keep a good quarterback contained against Russell Westbrook again, because he can hurt us on the ground. But along with that, I feel like Fangio, Vic will need to have a quarterback spy. Just because, with him being mobile and maneuvering around, just having one guy out there just lingering just to make sure, like, if he does break away, we got him there. And if he is looking for a particular guy kind of like dink and dunk underneath, we'll have somebody there with some hands to be able to catch that. So I'm assuming we'll probably see a little bit more of a nickel offense against the Seahawks with the Bears. If not, probably running a little bit more cover 2 and a little bit of cover 3. But I'm assuming just we'll probably be in more of that nickel package going forward with them. Yeah, on the defense side of the ball, we got to have pressure up front with those front 7 guys. And our cornerbacks and safeties have got to do a better job of keeping those guys in front of us. Kyle Fuller, you got to catch the ball when it's coming your way. You got to get that interception. Adrian Amos always does a pretty good job being where he's supposed to be. Eddie Jackson can't get beat. If we got one guy back there, he can't get beat by looking the other way. He's got to maintain, again, stay in your area, stay in the middle of the field if you just one back there, and see which way they're going. This way you don't have to cover as much ground. So, and last point being the special teams. Again, Seahawks have a real good punter, and he can precision punt the ball, put it, where it's close to your end zone, right out of bounds, put you deep in your own territory, essentially keep the ball hanging in the air. So if all those things come to play, Tariq has to have a better judgment of things. So he has to be able to understand and ascertain the situation, being if it's hung in the air for a long period of time, fair catch it. If it's a deep ball, you may potentially be able to run it out. So that could be good and bad for the Bears in that particular situation, because if it's good and the Seahawks special teams is essentially getting blocked or in a position to where they're on one side of the field, he could potentially make a play, gain huge yardage, if not a touchdown. So it's bad, because if it doesn't break open, then we could be pushed again back in our own territory, or just a regular punt for like a few yards. So like a regular punt return for like a few yards. So it wouldn't be that bad, but essentially the upside would be on the good side in that regards. So that's something to look out for. So special teams may be heavily involved in this upcoming game as far as against the Seahawks. That could be what the deciding factor is, depending on how the Seahawks essentially go about things. So, my prediction for the score, I feel like Bears will score over 30 points this game. I know that's huge saying against the Seahawks, but I feel like they will. We got too many weapons, and we just have to have the right amount of time and patience to get that ball out to these guys and have a good consistency of a run-pass offense, and I think we'll be okay. But I'm saying the Bears score 34, Seahawks 17. Two of the key players or assets, I want to say, looking forward in this game, Jordan Howard will be on the offense, and the D-line up front will be for the defense. So look out for Akeem Hicks, Eddie Goldman, and crew, like Roy Robinson Harris. those three gonna pretty much assert themselves a little bit more in this game going forward. So let me know down below what you guys think. If you feel like the Bears may lose, Bears may win, you know, who you feel like is a guy to look for in this upcoming game. If it's Trubisky on the offensive side, Kevin White, Allen Robinson, you know, Tariq Cohen, like, what do you guys think? As far as on the defensive side, Khalil Mack, you know, Leonard Floyd, Danny Trevathan, Kyle Fuller, you know, who do you guys think? So let me know down below your thoughts. Always remember, this is the channel that's going to bring you content, whether truth or lie. It's your discernment to know if it's fact, but hey, it's always fact because it's coming from Nonsense Nat. You feel me? Everybody be safe out there. Peace.